I just wanted to show you my shirt in full. How great is that, right? It's so nice. It's the softest, most wonderful shirt in the whole world. Hope I did it right. So Kyle just left. He is walking the dogs. He keeps telling me to have fun. Little does he know. Well, he knows I've been drinking wine, but little does he know it was here. Now it's here. So I will be having some fun. I'm also wearing my Virginia shirt. Yes, it has holes in both armpits. I'm going to read from a script because I'm new to this. Yesterday, Kyle talked about his social distancing experiences and some tips he has that I think he's planning on implementing in the upcoming weeks. Today, he's asked me to share my experiences so far. What I find really interesting is that looking at Kyle's experiences and then looking at my experiences, even though we live in the same place, we're partners, we can't get away from each other. So far, our quarantine experience has been vastly different, and it will continue to be very different. That's because I have a job, he doesn't. I'm an introvert, he's an extrovert. I thrive on alone time, he thrives on social time. He loses energy and his moods start to swing when he doesn't hang out with people and when he doesn't have those interactions. I tend to gain energy from not having interactions with people. Interactions with people really make my mood swing a lot and drain my energy a lot. What he really talked about is finding activities to keep his mood up and to keep his mind flowing. What I'm going to talk about are ways to keep my mind after work less stressed and to find ways in the house to de-stress, even when quarantined with somebody who's the exact opposite of you. So I guess I'm just going to get right to it. To be honest, I kind of alluded to this before and in previous videos, but my day-to-day really isn't that different. I'm one of the lucky ones that still has a job. I'm able to work from home, and even before quarantine, my firm had a really great work from home policy, and I took advantage of that a lot. So when Kyle was actually doing a lot of gigs outside of New York, I would pack up the dogs, we would go to my parents' house in Georgia, and we would pretty much social distance, self-isolate kind of thing there. My days were pretty much identical down there to what they are here. I worked from home. I didn't really see anybody but family. I rarely left the house except for when my dad was like, hey, you've been here for far too long. Maybe you should get out. So this really isn't a new experience for me, and by get out, I mean, he meant like go to town, go to a craft store, like maybe come to church with us on Sundays. Not that he made me leave the house. He actually wants us down there pretty bad. But anyway, I understand this is not a new experience for me, but it is a new experience for a lot of people. The biggest change that I've had actually in this time period is the type of stress I'm dealing with. So before I had really pretty bad social anxiety, to the point where I would have panic attacks. My breakouts would be really bad. I would get hives, actually, like when thinking about hanging out with people and having to be social. So when my friends would make plans with me, I would say yes, obviously, but then try to figure out, like, can I get out of this? I hope they're going to cancel. If they don't cancel, how can I cancel? Should I just force myself to do it? I usually force myself to hang out, but you know what I mean. Just pretty bad social anxiety. Now that no one's allowed to hang out, my social anxiety is pretty much gone. However, obviously, I'm experiencing the same anxiety as everybody else when it comes to just kind of the unknown, like what's going to happen, what's happening here in New York, when is this going to stop, if somebody in my family gets sick and it doesn't look great, am I going to be able to see them or not? Just stress that everybody's dealing with. So all of those things, all of those anxiety symptoms are still there. They're still happening. They're just different anxiety, I guess. Anyway, as I've said, I've been pretty much practicing social distancing for the past few years, and my schedule really hasn't changed. However, what has changed is Kyle's schedule. He's an extrovert, like I said before, and in need of that human interaction. His mood, a lot of times, is directly tied to the amount of social interactions he's had. He experiences cabin fever pretty bad and very quickly. And I've definitely had to adjust the way that I interact with him throughout the day, not trying to discourage him from spending time with his friends, regardless of what that looks like. Obviously, he's not spending time with friends physically, but distantly, he is spending a lot of times with friends, and that includes a lot of video game play. And although sometimes that can look like laziness, I think in a lot of cases, especially now, especially for extroverts, that is time that they need in order to fulfill their extrovertness, to get that energy back in the day. I mean, I notice with him, if he doesn't have social interactions, his mood, I kind of said this before, his mood swings, but he goes down, 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 down. I can tell when he spent way too much time in the house. And unfortunately for him and for people like him, this quarantine or this social isolation or whatever you're going to call it is the exact opposite of what they need in order to thrive in life. So I'm trying to do with him is to encourage creativity, this vlog, doing musical things. He's still auditioning for stuff, but it's all submissions through videotape. And I'm just really trying not to get in the way of his video game time. Like, sometimes I want to be like, are you going to be done? And to be fair, he has backed off a lot. The first couple weeks were nonstop, but he's doing pretty good now. So I think he's finding that balance. And I think me not discouraging that time with his friends as much as I wanted to, and encouraging more creative outlets has really helped with that. So yeah, so for people that are dealing with a partner who is completely different in personality to them, a partner who is handling this social isolation way differently, I think it's really important to try to find what is their love language, how do they deal with this type of situation, and then trying to go with the flow for them on that. So, like, I know that you have all heard of love languages. So what does that mean for us? I'm not going to go into too much detail, but other than saying, every time I walk by, I give him a little shoulder squeeze and words of encouragement, and just try not to harp on him a lot, because you're stuck here together. You're stuck in this house together, and you really need to find that balance between what they need and what you need. So I guess that's mostly my advice, is just try to figure out what is their love language, and it's going to be totally different than yours, and that's okay. You aren't supposed to put what you need onto another person. You're supposed to put what that other person needs on them and hope that they will reciprocate that in the type of love language that you need. So that's basically that's pretty much the biggest change that I've had, is trying to get more in tune with what he needs. And I'm having a really easy time with this, other than the stress of what I kind of talked about before, the unknown. I'm having a lot easier time with social isolation than he is. So that would be my biggest suggestion, is figure out, if you live with somebody, whether that's a partner, a roommate, immediate family, figure out what they need, the type of personality they have, and then try to adjust your behavior accordingly. Obviously, don't change yourself for somebody else, but just try to adjust and make them feel more comfortable in their own home. The only other thing I would say that I'm trying to do is take advantage of the time that I do have in the house, now that we're not hanging out with people outside of our house. I struggle with adult acne. You can see it on the screen now, especially when it comes to anxiety. So other than for right now, today's video, I've been really trying to let my skin breathe, to take really good care of it, to drink more water, obviously, to try to let my skin breathe, heal, hopefully become clearer. I don't know. Anyway, I'm trying to do that during this time. I'm also trying to see what my hair will do without daily application of heat. As you can see, it's absolutely massive. It's frizzy. It's wavy. We'll see how long I can last with this mess on my head, but that's another thing I'm trying to do. I would also really like to start practicing yoga daily again. I got out of the habit about a year ago, and now that we're not getting out of the house as much, our only exercise is taking the dogs for a walk, which is good. Like, it's good to do that, but it's just not enough, and I can feel myself kind of stiffening up every single day. So I would love to try to get that yoga in daily, and I think, as Kyle mentioned, we have some friends that have online yoga classes. And I would really like to start doing that. I just need to flip and do it. And it's something I can really easily implement. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm a big cross stitcher. You guys have seen it in all of the past videos. That's what I do all the time. It's a tangible, physical thing that I can do that relieves my stress after work. It gives me something to work towards. I can see my progress. And it's really fun for me. It's probably not fun for a lot of people. It can probably be really stress inducing for a lot of people. But if you're a crafter, if you need a hobby, if you need something to do because you have a full-time job and it's super stressful and you're working your mind a lot during the day, cross stitching is really great. Or just finding a craft hobby is a really good way to, I think, de-stress after work. Kind of a way to move time forward without feeling like you're a really lazy human just because you're binging. Like I binge all night and all weekend on whatever TV show that we're watching at the time. But because I'm cross stitching and I can see physically what I've done throughout the day, throughout the weekend, it doesn't feel like I'm doing nothing, if that makes sense at all. Yeah, I think that that's probably the most amount of talking that I've done in the past 3 weeks. So with that, I'll say best wishes. If you want to learn how to cross stitch, let me know. I will teach you. And otherwise, I hope you're staying safe, staying healthy, staying away from other people. I hope that your families are doing great. What I will say is that I know that there's a lot of scary things on the news and that New York looks like it's the center of hell right now. What we are experiencing being here, being in New York, walking the dogs every day, going grocery shopping, it's not that. Yes, there are a lot of sick people here. Yes, the hospitals are at max capacity. Yes, there's a lot going on that we're not seeing because we're not sick, but as a normal average New Yorker who is trying to be safe and trying to stay away from people, self-isolate, etc., it is not scary. Don't be scared for us. We will keep you posted. If anything goes crazy, we'll get out of here. But for now, just know that we're here, we're safe. We love it here. We love New York. We feel like we are New York strong. That's what our governor says, and we're just, taking it day by day like everybody else. All right. Bye, friends.